Welcome to CPG Vibes. No scripts,
just chat.
I'm Alex Baer.
And I'm Wade Yenny.
Each episode is recorded live, and we talk all things food and beverage, and so much more.
Feel our vibe and search for CPG Vibes on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and make sure to give us a 5-star review.
If you'd like to sponsor our show with your product or service, email us at cpgvibes100@gmail.com.
Now, let's vibe.
All right. Welcome to episode 113 of CPG Vibes. This is a special edition episode for Outside the Tank. It is volume 1. And don't want to jinx it, Wade. You can hear me okay, right? I'm coming through clear, which is good. You're on mute. So basically, this is the first edition. There you are.
Yes.
It happens.
I was gonna say, I was gonna say, you told me not to forget, but I was too busy trying to jump over to the other tab, and yeah, I've got more tabs open today than I think any other show we've done. So let's see what happens.
It's good you have a newer computer to handle all has the memory to handle all those windows open. So we're really excited about this one, and we have a lot to get through. We're going to not do all the different little programs we usually do to make sure we have enough time to bring on all these great CPG entrepreneurs that were on Shark Tank. So a couple laundry list items just that we want to talk about is first off, it's really about sponsorship to help us continue this show and to help the community. So if you'd like to sponsor our show, make sure to email cpgvibes100@gmail.com. We're booked out for a while until probably at this point, I think July or August. But hey, email us. There's an open spot that comes up, or you can book it down the road for later in the year. Our show is growing every single week and getting more and more viewers, which we're really appreciative of. We're also the #1 rated CPG podcast in North America, and we still have that title. So thank you everyone for supporting us. Also, make sure to give us 5 stars. Couple more announcements, Wade. I don't want to bore people too much here, but we also have our Slack channel. So we have cpgvibes.slack.com. Wade, this is the reason why Wade was on mute. He was busy preparing,
getting all this ready. Well,
ready.
And speaking of busy, my first full week of being unemployed in #work with Wade, I've been busy creating our YouTube channel. So the last 10 or so episodes are up there now. So if you weren't getting enough from us on Fridays via this show on audio via Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you can now go to YouTube, and I'll be working on that as time permits over the coming weeks. But yeah, so we've got going back to, I think I've got episode back to 102 up there now. You can watch on YouTube, stream, whatever it is you want to do, and we're excited about that because I think it's going to allow a lot of people to check that out.
Absolutely. And what's cool is I went back to the Wayback Machine and the archives and actually watched the very first episode. And at that point, it was called Friday Vibes. And this was early January of 2022. And we had no background. We had the full screen. We didn't have all the art and the bells and whistles. We didn't really have a great intro video. So it's come a long way. And also, I remember we had maybe 5 live viewers on, and I was including me, you, and our wives. Okay, so I think not a lot of outside viewers. And now we've come a long way where we're breaking 100 now and live viewers almost on every single episode. So it's cool to go back and see them. So also our ongoing sponsors as well, 2 of them. So we have, in no particular order, we have V-Driven. And they're a leading consulting and brand management firm specializing in strategic guidance and brand representation for emerging and mid-sized CPG brands, offering services from direct sales, key natural retailers. They do accounting, deduction management. Luke Abbott is the CEO, and he's an amazing, wonderful person, serial entrepreneur. And you can set up a call with him, and there's a link for that, vdriven.com, schedule a call. We'll post that. And if you mention CPG Vibes, you get CPG Vibes 25. You get 25% off your first month. the other sponsor, and I have more lung capacity this week, Wade. So I'll do the other
Go for
sponsor.
it. I was going to say I'm just rattling off the
You're
links. So
busy. You're
you
busy.
got this. You got
Yeah,
this.
I want to make sure I don't want to put your multitasking to too much of a test here because you're handling a lot already. And we have Range Me. So Range Me is one of our newer partners. That's an ongoing sponsor, and you can see if you're watching live, there's a QR code in the bottom right corner, right below Wade, and you can scan that and go onto a landing page and see deals with Range Me. It's pretty cool, and they like to announce their I'm sorry, they basically they help brands drive awareness and engagement with retailers through an easy to use platform that has more than 15,000 buyers. Listeners can get discounts on Range Me Premium and Pro subscriptions. You're basically connecting with retail buyers and category managers on the web, getting meetings. You can do live meetings on with ECRM. It's pretty damn cool, and it's rangemead.com/CPG vibes. And last but certainly not least,
There's a link code for that too, though, Alex, right? Or a discount code, or is it just via that link that they automatically get a discount on the services with RangeMe?
Thought you never asked. So CPG vibes is the discount code. You can mention it to them in a conversation, or I believe there's a field for it, and it's rangemead.com/CPG vibes. And then I know that we got the description this morning from Social Nature, who is our weekly sponsor. And bear with us, we're going to be rolling into our Shark Tank guests very soon. But Social Nature, and Wade, we can pull that up. But they're going to be giving away a prize, and I think we have to pull it up on her email here. It was emailed by Ashley, and she can tell us more about Social Nature. But essentially, it's a sampling program, and you can put your product out there, and it goes to highly targeted consumers that would love to try your product. It gets delivered straight to your house, and you basically, if you're a brand, you can get your product to a target demographic where it goes to them. They try it, it drives trial, and they will go to the store and they will buy it. We're going to pull up the full description, Ashley, don't worry. But basically, that's kind of the nuts and bolts of it. And they're going to be giving away a prize at the end of the episode. And Wade, do you want to say what that prize is? And then we're going to roll right into our guests very soon.
Let's see where where's my prize at? 1 second, Alex. I was too busy with the links. Category review insights package from Social Nature, which includes a retailer specific focus group of 150 shoppers, 10 custom pre and post trial questions, and product review ratings. These insights can provide consumer validation that your product deserves to be on retailer's shelf and is extra relevant with the focus group coming from shoppers that shop at your store. So very, very cool. Very, very awesome prize as far as that goes. So yeah, I think we nailed it. And right on time, because we said 5:40 or 2:45, 5:45. We're 2 minutes early, so I think we're ready to roll.
It's better when you're early, you're on time. When you're on time, you're late. So there you go. All right. Well, without further ado, again, this is our inaugural episode of Outside the Tank, Volume 1. I think that means the same thing, inaugural and Volume 1. And really, the purpose of this is that we want to bring on entrepreneurs to share, not just to brag about their brand, but to share their story about how they got on the Shark Tank. What was the experience like? Did they get a deal or not? Did the deal fall through or not? And then the after effect, the Shark Tank effect on their sales, on their distribution and their growth and their brand and them as an entrepreneur. So they're going to be sharing all these things. So let's put on some good intro music here, which I think is going to be, this one's pretty cool. I like this one. So I'm going to introduce all of them real quickly as we bring them in. We have Kirsten Maitland with Rebel Cheese. We have Paul Voge with Bora. We have Kendra Bennett with Bon Bee Honey. We have Jake Deleon with Fila Manila. And we have the dude, the Lebowski dude, Sean Riley with Dude Wipes. And am I missing anyone? Did I get everyone? I think and also Michael Pan. Can't forget him. How you doing, buddy? All right. So let me turn the music off. Yeah, sometimes with StreamYard, if we make any mistakes, it's always StreamYard, our streaming service. We love them, but damn, they can be hard to use. All right, so I think what we're going to do first is we're going to go around the table here, Wade, right? And we're just going to have everyone introduce themselves for 30 seconds or so, who you are, your role at the company, and just let's say one interesting thing that people may not know about you. So we're going to start in order, starting with Kirsten.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kirsten Maitland. I'm the co-founder of Rebel Cheese. One interesting thing that people may not know about me is that I worked on the Green River Task Force. He's a serial killer that,
Wow.
yes, that is pretty famous.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Nice.
I did not know that about. That's the last thing I would have guessed about you.
Exactly.
All right, and Jake.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jake Deleon. I'm the founder of Fila, Manila. I guess an interesting thing about me is that, I only learned how to ride a bike last summer. So it was one of my things on my bucket list is to ride a bike as a grown but adult.
Was it one of those like automatic bikes where you don't have to pedal, or did you pedal?
Oh, I started out, training wheels, but no, I ride like a normal bike, yes.
I hope somebody documented that, Jake, so on video, so we have it to see at some point.
That's going to be on your Shark Tank. Where are they now? He's riding a bike now. All right. Next, Kendra Bennett with Bon B. Honey, I loved your episode, but I loved everyone's episodes, but you had a lot of energy in yours. So introduce yourself.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, hello. My name is Kendra Bennett. I'm with Bon B. Honey. I'm the CMO. I'm also just a family founding member. I work with my mom, my dad, and my brother. And fun fact about me, I'm fluent in Spanish, and my career started at Disney. Surprise, surprise.
You have definitely the Disney energy for sure and the magic. So there you go.
Thank you.
All right. Well, welcome to our show. And Paul Voge, my man, how you doing?
Hello. I am well. My name is Paul. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Bora. Gosh, fun fact about me is I guess I met Alex 4+ years ago. And this is only fun in that I didn't know who I was meeting, and then I was drinking a genius juice while I met him, which that rarely happens, but it was a nice coincidence.
Very cool. Nice.
That's so cool. Yeah, I didn't know that either. I remember for most of the call you weren't talking too much because you were busy drinking the genius juice. So now it makes a lot more sense. And congrats on your launch in Kroger or Albertsons. Sorry, I messed that one up already. So
right.
Yep. So it's the beauty of live. You can't take it back. So Sean, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good, Alex. Sean Riley, Chief Executive Dude at Dude Wipes. Nice to see everybody. Some familiar faces as well. So maybe I'll say my fun fact, I tried Jake's product way before he was on Shark Tank. I think maybe one of the first versions. I can't remember how early it was, but it was a couple years ago now. So I'm an early Fila Manila adopter.
Right on.
The early tribe. Love it. Right on. All right. And Michael.
Hi, I'm Michael Pan, founder of Pans. Goodness, so many more fun facts. I guess one fact, I'm originally born and raised in Mississippi, of all places. So I'm sure all of you might have guessed that.
I wasn't thinking Bay Area. I wasn't thinking LA. I wasn't thinking New York or Seattle. I was thinking when I first met this guy, Mississippi all the way. Just screams Mississippi.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
Awesome. Alex, I was going to say, you want me to get started with get started with the question? Michael, why don't we just start with you, since you've got the hot mic there, and talk about the application process as far as how hard it is to qualify, how many steps there are, all those kind of things, at least for you, your experience with it.
Yeah, I think everyone may know it's a pretty long process in general. I'll start with how we got to know Shark Tank. So we were on during the COVID year in 2020, and we were one of the many that went down to Anaheim for XOS, thinking that we were about to do all the exhibit for the show, and obviously met with the news that it wasn't going to happen, and obviously the world was about to change. But we got an email, cold email that looked honestly like spam. Didn't know what it was, and then I lo and behold, it was real, and they had found us at a shelf in LA at Whole Foods, I think, and that's when they reached out. So that's how we got into the Shark Tank kind of funnel there, and The process is long. I mean, I had no idea how long it would be, but it was, I think, like maybe 4 or 5 rounds of paperwork, interviews. It took months to actually get to the taping. So combine that with COVID, it was quite an interesting summer for us.
Wow. So essentially they found you in this case then, right? So by show of hands, how many people did they find? Show of hands? Nobody? How many people applied? How many people applied?
Almost everyone.
Okay. Nice. Very cool.
I do have a question on just the for the ones that apply, that raise their hands, and this is anyone can jump in. How many, who applied more than once, where it took multiple times to actually get accepted and be on the show? Anyone in this room in that bucket? Okay, so Jake, and also Sean too. So we'll go to Sean after Jake. Tell us, what did you do different in your audition where you got accepted versus the one where you did not?
Yeah, so I started Fila Manila during the pandemic. So it was a 2020. And then so it was always a dream to be on Shark Tank. I've been a big fan for years. So I applied in 2021. And I think the feedback was like maybe a bit too early, keep us posted. And then so almost 1 year later, I put it in my calendar as a reminder, email this person from Shark Tank. And then I emailed again in 2022. They're like, this is nice, it's cute, keep us posted. And then 2023, I applied again with the same email reminder set to 1 year after that date. And, I was like, hey, this is Jake. We're still alive. We're still in business. This is what's going on. And the response was like, fine. And no, very nice about it. It's like, oh, that's great. Yeah, it was a video and application. It was like just a 3-year process of just keeping them updated about what was happening and just refreshing their memory, because they see thousands of applications about what's going on and what makes your application unique.
Makes sense. Okay, so when you finally got the call, I guess the feeling was, and then when, and once you get the call and you're back on, because you were during the pandemic, did you have to submit a video and then another interview, or how many steps did you have to go through before they said, we want you to show up on the lot?
Oh, so for the third year where I applied in last year, I preempted it. So I actually created a video on my own. And so when I followed up with my emails, like, hey, I made a video. You didn't ask for it, but here it is. And then during the application, I think there was, it started in March, and I think it ended in May, culminating to the flight out to California. So in terms of rounds, I guess 3 formal rounds in terms of screeners. And then once you get connected with the producers, as everyone knows, it's a weekly or bi-weekly kind of catch up for about 8 weeks or so.
Right. So switching it over to Sean here, because Sean was more the older school Shark Tank alumni, right? You were pre-pandemic, right? You were, I think, 20, what year were you? 2015. So I think everyone beat here on how early you were on Shark Tank. So what stage of the company were you at? Because we all know now you're exceeding 100 million in sales, but what stage were you at when you applied and got on in 2015? And then what was the process of you applying? What was the audition like back then in 2014 or 15?
Yeah, I mean, same story as Jake. So third time was the charm.
Mm-hmm.
First time I went to a live audition in Chicago. I don't know if they still do those, but where people are waiting around the block with their inventions and you're just meeting producers all day. And that was really when we were like pre-revenue. So that was the first foray. Got someone's email. So then was able to email them back a year later. Hey, we got some sales now. We're doing X and Y. Didn't make it that far. And then the third year was like our third year in business. We were on pace to do our first $1 million year. So kind of like Jake said, it added up where it was like, oh, these guys are growing. They're doing something fun. They're doing something interesting. And it all kind of married up to the size of a company that they're probably looking for, give or take.
Yeah. And something obviously incredibly unique. And I can't remember what your setup was like, but what was it, a toilet or something? Was it someone wiping themselves, or what did you do for your presentation?
We did have a toilet out there. We kind of had toilet paper in our hands, and
right.
actually let us say ass on TV, which we were like,
nice.
oh, wow, we could say that. So we said, if you're still wiping with toilet paper, you're a chump and your ass hates you for it. Then we threw the toilet paper to the side. We're like, we got these dude wipes. They're better, passed them out, all of that. So Pretty tame, but got the point across for what we could on ABC and all that.
Cool.
Awesome. So we talked to Michael and Sean and Jake. So let's go to the other three and talk a little bit about the audition itself and the day of. Right? How were you the day of? What was your state of mind? What did you do to if you were wired too much? What did you do to calm down and so on? So let's start with Kirsten, and then we'll go to Kendra and Paul.
I was so nervous, and I didn't want to eat or have coffee. I was worried about having coffee because then I'm like, I'm going to be too wired. And then I didn't want to eat because I'm like, then my stomach's going to be in knots. So I was like, I'm just not going to do any of that and just try and chill. And basically, there's a lot of waiting. It's just wait in and then wait again and wait again. And it feels like an eternity each time. It was probably 5 minutes of waiting, but it felt like hours each time. So during those windows, we just practiced over and over and over again. We felt like we couldn't practice enough. Honestly, even when we were standing outside the door waiting to walk down the hallway, we're still practicing our pitch because we were so sure. We were so busy leading up to this event. We didn't really have all that much time to practice because we still had our business to run and build. So we were so sure we were going to mess it up. Any spare minute we had, we were practicing that thing.
Awesome. Kendra, how was your experience compared?
Wow. Well, just backing up a little bit, I'll just say, for us, it was a 14-month runway until we finally got to go, until we finally aired. So from the time we filmed, by the time I got there, I was exhausted because we're running our business all day and everything we had to do for applying, I was doing at night. So, till like 2-3 o'clock in the morning, trying to cram it in on the weekends. So getting there, it was like, getting ready for the biggest test of your life and your adrenal glands are just about burnt out. But I was so excited and same thing, it was a lot of uncertainty. You don't really know exactly when you're going to come out of the green room. You don't even know really what time you're going to be taking the shuttle to the studio the night before until pretty late at night, like 8:30 at night. So you're either up at 4:30 or 8:30. You just don't know. So kind of on your toes. And when I went in, it was during a time when there was still a lot of COVID testing. So you're constantly having to make sure you don't accidentally pick up COVID at the last second because then you're out. So there was that added stress. But I got to say, the people that work at Shark Tank, the crew there, they're amazing. They're amazing. Very friendly, very calming, reassuring. So that helped a lot. And by the time I got to those doors, that we all see, and I've been watching Shark Tank since the very, very beginning. I'm a fan for sure. I just reverted back to my athlete years. I've been an athlete my whole life, and I found myself like jumping up and down in front of the doors, like, let's go.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's a good way to do it.
Yeah,
nice.
it was good.
Yeah, I want to jump in for sure. Yeah, because it's interesting. I want to go to Paul in a second about being behind those doors, but I just want to divert it for a minute because I think this is a really good thing to talk about of what happened during the pandemic year, like the first year. And those that don't know, they had to move the entire Shark Tank set to Las Vegas, to the Venetian. And I think for obvious reasons, California was more on lockdown and more strict. Nevada was more okay, like we can keep certain things open and have less regulations around it or less restrictions. So the person that I think, essentially went through the worst part of that was Michael, after talking with him and hearing his stories about in the heat of the pandemic in 2020. So what happened and how do they handle the protocol and the order of everything when you were out in Vegas instead of in LA filming?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think of how long ago it was, but a lot of uncertainty. I mean, this is the time when we were all obviously, are we going to be on the show? We're going through the application process, trying to operate the business in a safe way too. Just a lot of uncertainty during that time. And I would say that kudos to the whole production team that they really, I didn't see most of it, but behind the scenes, they were working actively trying to make everything work. And, I think this is also the time when everyone was going in a bubble. So everyone from like the NBA was, pretty much on lockdown, playing games in a bubble. And they took the same model as well, where we, and luckily, right as we were about to go on, they started coming out with more tests or testing in general. And so they were, before we flew out 2 weeks before, tests, before we get on our flight, test, by the time we landed, test, and then even throughout the week leading up to it, we were testing too. And one thing that honestly caught me off by surprise was that we were in the Venetian, so don't get me wrong, it was, nice hotel and everything, but we didn't leave the room for about 10 days. So we were pretty much in isolation for 10 days. And again, they were, they fed us and everything. So it wasn't, I don't mean to, say it was the worst thing in the world, but it definitely was more challenging than I thought, with all the stress and anxiety to be on the show, to being in this weird, like, isolation was kind of strange looking back. But they did a great job with everything. So it was fantastic.
Awesome. And then we got Paul back. So Paul, let's talk about how you felt when you were behind the doors before the doors actually opened. What was going through your mind? What's going through your head mentally? Where were you at? Nervous? Not nervous? I'm sure you're a little nervous, but tell us more how you felt in that moment before the doors opened. I think we lost him. Oh, did you hear it? Yep. Did you hear me, Paul? All right. I'm going to flip that question over to Jake, and then and then I'll go back to Paul. So everything I just asked Jake or Paul about being behind the doors, how you felt, what was going through your mind. We're going to put you back on the hot seat here. So tell us.
Yeah, for sure. So I've been a huge fan for years. So I kind of knew, but once you're behind the doors and then, you're waiting for them to say go, you're super nervous. My family and myself, we deal with stress through humor. So my biggest memory is that I just remember like joking around with the producer next to me. I remember there was an assistant on the stage, like texting on TikTok or something. And he's like, I'm like laughing because like she's on TikTok and like this is the most nervous part of my life. And I was like joking with the producers, like, oh my God, could you imagine if I farted like as he opened the door? Like, it's kind of like jokes to make things easier. And he's like, Jake, stop joking around. You're about to go on stage. And so once the doors go open, I was like, I wonder if they're going to put this in, like, sometimes they show what happens behind the door before it shows. Like, I wonder if they're going to show that part if, like, I joke around and stuff. But anyway, I was super nervous, but I was just joking around, too, just to kind of help decompress some of the stress that was in the environment, at least for me. Yeah.
Makes sense. And, going into, I'm going to flip it back to, and one thing I want to also mention is because I've been on Shark Tank too with Genius Juice, and I was 2019, so I barely avoided the catastrophe of going on the show during the pandemic and having to go to Vegas versus right in my backyard in LA. Is there's no music for you. There's no music. The producers say, okay, and use like a New York accent. All right, go, and then they open the doors, right? And then you walk down the hallway where they have all the TV screens with the sharks. You're in the hallway. Then there's a second door that opens and there's still no music. And the producer says to me, my producer said, in your head, pretend you're walking to the music, like dun, 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 like you have to walk to the rhythm of it. And so once you get on the Persian rug and you're in front of them, you don't just pitch. You have to stop for 5 to 7 minutes where they readjust all the cameras and put the lighting on you. And my producer said to me, do not make eye contact. Do not provoke the sharks. Do not talk with the sharks. You can't do anything when you're out there on the rug as we're adjusting all the cameras, getting ready. But they were joking with me and giving me shit because I had the wig on and everything, and they were making fun of me, and I couldn't even wink at them or smile at them, according to the producers. So anyway, that was my kind of entrance experience. So let's take it back to Kirsten. Okay, so when you finally got out there and you were pitching, was it the way you were expecting it to be? Was it different from what you were expecting it to be? Tell us more about like your actual experience of pitching in front of the Sharks.
It was very different. Number one, I didn't expect to hear their voices behind me, which kind of threw me for a loop because, they're sitting in front of you, but then their voices were coming out from the speaker behind me. And Emma Greed was the guest shark. and I couldn't understand what she was saying initially. So that didn't start off very well because it was coming out on the speaker. But then everything happened so quickly. It felt like we were only out there for 5 minutes. It really did. And I thought for sure, there's no way this is going to air. There's not enough content. We were out there for such a short time. But then when we talked to the producers afterwards, they were like, no, you were out there for 45 minutes at least. So just, it flew by. The pitch went fine, all that freaking out and nervousness, it was fine. And then the other thing that caught me off guard is just all these questions coming at you from everywhere. They're talking over each other, and you're like, which question do I answer first? I don't want to talk over anyone or cut anyone off or seem like I'm being rude. So it was like trying to figure out like the best way, like to strategize, like on the fly, how to answer these questions and not miss any important questions.
Right.
That part was interesting. But we got through it, and Mark made us an offer very quickly, which, really caught us off guard very quickly. And then Laurie jumped in, and the rest was history. So all these questions we studied and practiced and were ready to answer. Of course, none of those came up. And really, they didn't ask that many questions because Mark made an offer so quickly.
Yeah, it's a very interesting scenario. And I know that the pandemic and then after pandemic, they rearranged the seats to be more of a semicircle because they're all spread out. But going back to Sean, we're included. Well, I was in the same boat as you, where all the sharks are just kind of lined up in front of you. Did you have any issues hearing the sharks? Was there any crosstalk that was made it hard to pay attention to each of them? What was your experience just in hearing them and the audio when you were out there on the carpet? I think he might have.
Oh, sorry, I had it on mute.
Yep.
Similar experience with all the shouting over, and the cameras setting on you and all of that. I think we were in the green room the entire previous day. So Ashton Kutcher was a guest shark, and we were all jacked up and ready to go, and we were the last guys to go on. And then they're like, "Oh, sharks are done. Like, you're bumped till first thing tomorrow morning." So I would say that's one thing that like helped our nerves. Like, we spent one whole day waiting around in a green room and didn't even get to go. And then we got in there fresh. The Sharks, it's their first pitch of the day. They're on their first cup of coffee, all of that. So, that was one of our little behind the scenes stories that just made it like, okay, let's go. Like, of course, we were still nervous, but I think we were a lot less nervous than if it would have happened the day before.
Makes sense.
Right. Hey, Kendra, how about if you look back and you went back in your time machine that you have in front of you and could do something differently, what would it be and why?
Oh my gosh. Well, oh man, I was so tired and so just like my nerves were frayed by the time I got there. I think if I could have maybe gotten a little rest before actually filming would have been helpful for me. For those of you who haven't seen my episode yet, not to give a spoiler or anything, but there may have been some tears. And part of that is probably a lot of just pure exhaustion. So I think maybe it would have been a little bit more self-care going through the process.
Gotcha. Well, we've got Paul back now. Paul, can you hear us okay?
Yes, gotcha. Sorry about that.
No worries. Well, we'll ask you the question we just asked Kendra. So the question was if you could go back to your episode and in your time machine and do something different, if you would, what would it be and
why? Good one. I think I don't really remember being on the show, so this is kind of like a fake question in that it assumes some level of like mental quickness that I don't think you can have on live TV unless you're constantly on live TV. There was like probably plenty of room for rebuttal when like the Sharks are kind of beating down on your pitch. And I think some like amazing founders do a great job of that. And I just was kind of like totally shaken by the whole experience that I just wasn't ready. And then if I could go back, I'd do it again when we were in more stores to get the maximum benefit from the show.
That's a good answer. Yeah, I mean it's a balancing act where you want to be on there, not only to get a deal, but the marketing of it to grow your brand, and you're emerging and young. But at the same time, if you're too early, it makes it a hard pitch to the sharks, and then the people watching are like, well, it's not established yet. I'm not going to buy it. Like it's not everywhere yet, and they can't go to every store yet, right? Now they can, Albertsons, right? So this is a question just for the floor for everyone. Is there something that happened that either you're glad or upset did not make it to air? Either something they said or something you said that you thought that I wish, that made it to air, or I really wish they cut that. So to tell us, anyone can jump in on that one.
Yeah, I've got one that I, just before, I'm sure everyone on this call did the same thing. I watched like every CPG Shark Tank episode and wrote down all the questions and had answers ready and numbers ready. And I think like the number one cardinal sin of Shark Tank is just like say a number if you're asked for a number. Even if it's not the right number, saying the fast wrong number is better than saying no number. Because I think sharks just take advantage of that. So I don't even remember the question. Mark Cuban, I remember asking about like, I'm making this up, but you tell me about your trade spend. And I'd never heard that phrase before. And it was the sort of like number question where I wasn't sure, should it be a fraction, a percentage, or an integer? And I just said a number and was hoping, just like immediately was like 12. And him going, wow, that's pretty good. And it never came back to it. And I just thought, oh man, I remember leaving and thinking, I really hope they don't edit that in, because that's just like an outright lie. And immediately Googled it after. I was like, oh shoot, that wasn't the number at all. But thankfully it did get edited out.
Yeah, that's good. I'll say that I'll share mine really quickly, where I had the original, the coffee and the turmeric, and Mark hated our turmeric smoothie. He took one drink and he slammed it down saying, this tastes like turmeric soup. Or he said something like that. And it never made it to air. I'm like, during the viewing party, I'm like, thank God they didn't make it. So anyone else, any other stories on what you wish was edited in, or things that you wish were edited out?
I have one. All of the sharks loved our cheese except the guest shark, Emma Greed. And when she first started commenting on it and sharing her thoughts, all the sharks came to her defense and they're like, it's great. What do you mean? But of course, none of that was included. So you just see Emma's part, but you don't see the part where the sharks are saying it's great. But there are other pieces where they are, but just not in defense to what she was saying. Right.
Makes sense. I wanted to flip it back over to Sean, then I'm going to go to Jake after. Sean, remind us with how large your company is now, right, and just how successful it is. Did you get a deal on the show? And then if you did the deal fall through? Whatever you're allowed to say.
No, yeah, we got a deal on the show, and then we did the deal with Cuban. So we've done like updates and follow-ups and all of that. And it was pretty much the same deal from the show, or it was the same valuation, just less equity after the show, was something we negotiated in there. But yeah, same valuation, same shark, all of that.
It's good that you almost had a foreshadowing knowledge on how much the company would grow, and you negotiated in advance to get lower equity for them, and they somehow agreed to that, which is impressive.
Went in there, that's really a little bit, and you could at that point, it's, as everyone knows, it's up to your discretion after the show to make a deal or not. So you kind of have maybe some leverage that you didn't have on the show, to kind of throw some things in after the fact. Obviously, they can walk away too, but we kind of got to like a nice middle ground where everyone felt invested and happy to go forward.
Got it. And then one very quick follow-up, and then I'm going to go over to Jake, is how often do you talk with Mark now? And then I pretty much know probably what he's thinking and how he feels about the investment, but tell me, like, what does he say about it? What's kind of his feedback as you continue the relationship with him, and how often do you talk with him?
Yeah. I mean, it's probably about the same as we always have. Maybe it was a little bit more in the beginning. But as we've grown, it's a little bit more like high level strategic feedback, touching in, this is how things are going, which has kind of always been a lot of his feedback. But now, since we're one of his top investments from the show, he'll be on like Logan Paul's podcast, and everyone asks him, what are your biggest Shark Tank investments? So like Dude Wipes comes out of his mouth a lot in different big public PR situations. So yeah, we're now like in one of his short list of these are my best investments, even though we haven't monetized anything. It's in terms of valuation wise, we're one of his top. So we get to kind of ride another PR celebrity wave outside of the show. The more successful you are, the more you're with that story of the shark. You know what I mean? Like Damon and the Sox and Bob,
Yep.
like stuff like that. So that can kind of be beneficial, obviously.
Got it. And since Wade's drinking some water, I'm gonna or Mountain Dew, I'm not sure. Let's go over to Jake here. So again, whatever you feel comfortable to disclose. There was a deal on the air, from what I recollect. What has happened since Shark Tank in relation to the deal, and then also your business, the sales, distribution gains. Tell us the good, and if there's bad, but tell us what's happening with the business post Shark Tank. Oh, and you're on mute. I think that's third time's a charm. I think Wade did it, someone else did it, and now Jake. You're the third one. There you go.
It adds for more drama. So on the air, we made a deal with Daniel Lebetsky. He is the guest shark and the founder and chairman of Kind Snacks. So the deal is actually still in due diligence. What I will say is that Daniel is incredibly kind, no pun intended. I think he understands that it's a show, and so deals made on the show tend to be a bit crazy or wild. So his team have been very responsive and very flexible in terms of, if you do close a deal, it'll be on terms that both sides are happy with. So I think Sharky deals are one thing on TV, but I think in reality, what ends up closing may be something a bit more palatable, I guess, for the food industry, as we are.
Right.
Yeah.
In terms of after the show, of course, we got the sales bump as anyone else did. I think in a nutshell, I think we did more sales online in the first 14 days of airing than we did like twice the amount in 2023, which is great. And then we also saw a huge bump in retail as well. But, to be honest, the biggest thing that I got excited about once I got the call that we're going to make it on air is actually telling my family. So I never told my family at all. I kept it all to myself that I was on the show. I think as founders, and maybe everyone here can understand, we want to protect our loved ones against disappointment, right? And so, for example, my mom has been a huge fan of the show for years, and she's always been telling me, Jake, you should apply, you should go. And then so I couldn't bear telling her about it and just getting the news that I'm not going to make it on air. So once I got the email and I got the call, my biggest excitement was calling my mom and telling her the good news that, we made it, all their sacrifices as immigrants has built up to this, that, she gets to see her son on TV, and she gets to see kind of like me on the stage that she loved watching, with me, for years. So that was the most exciting part, to be honest with you.
Nice. And I know we're running tight on time, but if we can get through this question, I think it would be good for everyone to answer. And maybe Jake already did, but just the overall impact or the effect, the biggest effect the show had on you, good or bad, either way. If we could go through that with everyone quick, I'll start with Michael and just kind of go from there to Paul.
Yeah, for us, we saw the bump. We happened to have I think a pretty positive episode, and we ended up basically, I think it was 4 days, selling about $1 million in sales online before we shut the website off. So I think that was definitely a first for me, probably to see that amount of sales in that short amount of time. And then I'll say the flip side is immediately after that, stressing out how to actually fill the orders. So that was both the greatest and also one of the most challenging times in my life, just trying to figure out how to fill the orders. So
that makes a lot of sense. Paul, how about you?
And by the way, I got to jump in with one thing, is that I was talking with Michael. I know we're running low on time, through that process of you selling out and doing like over $1 million in like 4 days. I think that's probably, to me, one of the most successful, if not the most successful, consumer packaged good sales online in the shortest amount of time. I haven't heard anyone breaking, unless I haven't heard it yet, breaking 1 million within a few days. But I remember you're knocking down walls, and on your Instagram, because you do all your own manufacturing, you were literally knocking down walls, doubling your staff, getting more people to keep up, and there were still back orders for months to catch up on. So I remember you going through all that, and I remember talking to you. And usually when I called you, you were at your facility, like sleeping under your desk, like you didn't go home. But you got through it, and now you caught up. So okay, and then was it Jake next?
Paul. We're going to Paul.
Paul.
Yep.
We're going this way. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, normal bump, crazy inbound. I remember thinking how crazy it was just to forget the orders, of course. Yes, definitely our biggest website day ever, and maybe since then. So many emails just like commenting on the pitch, which I thought was very funny. I didn't know that many Americans would like take 5 minutes to write a comment and like find your website and send it. And then the gift that keeps on giving is like buyers love asking about it. So retail buyers for the last 4 years see it on some slide and some sell sheet and reference it. And yeah, all the reruns help too. It's great.
Awesome. Kendra, how about you?
Oh my gosh. Well, ditto to everything that was already said. I mean, the bump in sales is huge online. It gives you some great accolades that you can share with retailers and for continued growth. But this is a little bit on the personal side. You know, there's the business side, the explosion, which was really, really awesome. On the personal side, for me, I mean, we're a family business. My dad is a veteran. He couldn't be there with me because of his PTSD. I presented by myself. And he had actually become bedridden for years, 3 or 4 or 5 years, leading up to Shark Tank, because of the PTSD, believe it or not, actually manifested physically. So when Shark Tank happened, my dad, it's going to get me emotional, but my dad, it's like he just got a new breath of life. He was out of bed. He was talking more. He wasn't able to talk very well because of the PTSD affected his vocal cords. It was like my old dad came back, and it's just been kind of a constant. He's just got new life to him, and it's just, I'm like shaking thinking about it. But it was just such a huge thing for my family.
That's awesome.
So
That's great.
So beautiful, making me cry for sure. So beautiful, Jake.
Oh, I thought I kind of answered.
Yeah, I was going to say he kind of answered. He kind of answered it.
Okay,
yeah, Sean.
Sean, sorry.
Yep.
You have the great conversation, cocktail story for the rest of your life, right? Could be at any sort of meeting, big shot CEOs, bankers, people could be worth no money, a ton of money. So tell me, I got to know, what was it like being on Shark Tank? So that's just kind of a fun thing that you'll always have to talk about, that everybody's sort of interested in. So that's a cool aspect of it.
Cool. Kirsten.
The biggest thing for us, we have a vegan cheese brand, and a lot of people have been burned by vegan cheese. So people seeing the sharks try it and love it and say this tastes just like the dairy alternative has been huge for us, because that's the hardest thing, is getting into people's mouths, getting them to try it. So it was like, millions of people tried our cheese in that moment. So we, quickly established that trust that we have to work so hard to gain. Like everyone else said, we did years worth of sales in a weekend because of that. And there's been like so many repeat return customers and stuff like that came out of the episode. So the cool thing, of course, is that initial hit, but also it's sustaining too, has been amazing for us.
Fantastic. That's great. So, Alex, I think we need to bring on Ashley now, right? From Social Nature. Is that about that time?
Yeah, and we might as well. We can keep the crew on, so we can see their beautiful faces. And but we're going to mention our 2 ongoing sponsors very quickly, and then we're going to go right into Social Nature. Because if we don't do that, we might get in trouble, right? Not mentioning everyone. So we have V Driven, leading consulting and brand management, specializing in strategic guidance and brand representation for emerging and mid-sized CPG brands. And if you go to vdriven.com/schedule a call, there it is. You can copy and paste from the LinkedIn comments. Mention CPG Vibes 25. They're super affordable. They do accounting, deduction management. I mean, these are all things that can eat a brand alive, as everyone has experience from major distributors. V-Driven, they're like the Luke Skywalker to the Darth Vaders that are out there. Deduction Vaders, I call them, that are just taking money from your check. So they're fantastic. Luke Abbott is the CEO. Range Me, they help drive brand awareness, engagement with retailers through an easy-to-use platform that has more than 15,000 buyers. So they can get a discount. You guys can get a discount when they Range Me Premium and Pro subscriptions. And make sure just to check out the website, rangeme.com/CPG Vibes. All right, so Ashley's been super patient. We're going to run a little over. And remember, we do have a prize from
Social Nature.
And so make sure to stay tuned for that. We're going to ask a question. Someone answers it. And I'm going to also throw something in the mix as well. We might have a second prize from one of the Shark Tank alumni. So let's bring on Ashley. How you doing?
Hey guys, happy Friday.
Welcome, Ashley.
Thank you so much.
Great to hear all of these juicy stories in the background.
For sure. So I know we want to give you definitely the time to talk about Social Nature. A lot of people are on in the CPG industry, people in sales, owners. So tell us, what is Social Nature and how does it add value to a CPG brand? And then we'll talk about your prize.
For sure. So Social Nature is a digital sampling rebate platform. And the idea is that we have a community of 1 million natural shoppers, and we can matchmake where our members live and shop against where a brand needs to win at retail. As many emerging brands know, you don't necessarily get into all Whole Foods store locations or Target or Walmart for that matter. So the idea is that you give us your store list of where you want to drive velocity, and then we match make, kind of getting your ideal target market into those stores to try and review and answer some custom consumer insights on your behalf.
Awesome. Okay.
Fantastic.
I love it. And it looks like I'm just reading all this. Entering a new retailer is hard. It's even harder when it's 500 random store locations. So it's really about getting that reach to different consumers across the country. Are there any regional areas that you're more focused on, or is it basically just entire country for targeting customers?
Yeah, great question. We recently launched a rebate version of our platform and are now available at over 500 retailers. So I would say any retailer that you're looking to drive trial at, and our top retailers, I would say, are Target, Whole Foods, Kroger, Albertsons, Sprouts, Publix, the main kind of tricky players that it's hard to, you get on shelf and now what? And I think of Social Nature as you've done the work to get your products on the shelf, and then you would use Social Nature to make sure that you stay on shelf. And then through the custom insights pre and post trial, we find that is the kind of insights that buyers are looking for to understand why your product price and positioning makes sense. And so that's where we can get really juicy and creating that 360 approach in your shopper marketing play.
Yeah, a lot of good that insight.
Yeah, I was going to say you've got a great prize too, Ashley. If you can, this is a good segue into giving away the prize. So what tell us about the prize?
Yeah, so what I think a lot of emerging brands, all brands really need, is insights amongst their ideal target market. So what we're offering up is you tell me who your exact ideal target market is. It could be, purple hair and 3 eyes. We will find 150 of those folks. They will try your product at your key retailer accounts, and you'll have the ability to ask custom questions pre and post trial, capture those reviews, and that will create the sales deck, if you will, to use in those buyer review meets. And those reviews can syndicate to your site and even to Walmart.com. So yeah, lots of juice to unpack in that prize. But I think the 150 kind of ideal target market insights can really go super far in creating that case study that you need to win at retail.
Amazing.
Great. Yeah. And also, so socialnature.com for those that are not looking at this live. And then is there any other way to reach out, or is that the best way as far as contacting you, or LinkedIn or email? What's the best way?
Yeah, I mean, I probably have spoken to many of you over the years, but yeah, I mean, marketing at socialnature.com, Ashley at socialnature.com. Follow us on LinkedIn, message us, we'll find you. If you want to get in touch, just ping us somewhere and we will respond. I promise you that.
Yeah, we're definitely on top of it. All right. And then let's go into the prize. I'm going to read it word for word. And then I'm also, let me do that first. So the prize is a category review insights package from Social Nature, which includes a retailer-specific focus group of 150 shoppers, 10 custom pre and post trial. You said all this. I know I'm being repetitive. And product review ratings. The insights can provide consumer validation that your product deserves to be on the retailer's shelf and is extra relevant with the focus group coming from the shoppers that shop at their stores. I've learned in, I guess, radio podcasting, always good to say it twice. Sometimes people get annoyed with me when I do that, but it's all good. All right. So we're going to ask a trivia question, and we're going to pull it from one of our guests here, one of the Shark Tank alums. But before we do, I like to put people on the spot. We want someone to also give away a prize, a second prize as well, for their products. Basically, their products are a variety pack. Answering a second question, we'd like to up the ante. So, who would like to do that? Okay, so we have two hands on the right there. All right. So, I just got. I think they're both good. So we can even do three. Wade, we can just do three. How about that?
How about we do the first, in the interest of time, because I know we don't want to keep our guests over too long. Why don't we do the one question and the first three correct answers? How's that?
Sure. Let's do that. All right. So the question, Wade, do you have one?
Oh, I thought you were going to put the guests on the spot and have them do one.
We can do that. Okay. Let's go to, I'm going to go to one of the non-sponsoring guests. So this is to win. The first answer will get Social Nature. The second will get Rebel Cheese. The second answer. The third answer will get Bonbee. I'm going to pass this over to Sean because I love his humor, and you're going to come up with some crazy shit, right? Pun intended. So, so what is like something that was mentioned or the episode or some kind of factoid that's kind of hard to answer? Can you think of one or something you mentioned?
Something we mentioned in the show?
I'm putting you on the hot toilet seat right now.
When Barbara was putting her finger through the wipe and she was saying, well, that's not good. If I'm supposed to wipe my ass with this, my finger goes through it. That was something we like rebutted to, and we were like, well, it's flushable. That's what's supposed to happen, and got edited out. So that's a fun little factoid.
Okay, well, this is going to be, this is going to be a, I'm going to pass it off. I'm going to go to Paul on this one. So a question that's something that someone mentioned during the episode that our audience needs to answer to win the prize.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do,
all good.
Yeah, let's make it simple. The question should be, who did Jake get a deal with? Who did Sean get a deal with? And anyone else that got a deal, who did they get a deal with?
Okay, so let's do who did Sean get the deal with and who did Jake get the deal with. You have to answer both of those to win a prize correctly. You can't get one or the other. You got to get both. Sean with Dude Wipes.
The super bonus Dude Wipes prize is if you name who were the two sharks negotiating that our shark took the deal from. So who are the two sharks that got screwed on our episode?
Okay.
I see a comment. Super Dude Wipes bonus.
We've got three answers already.
Okay, so we're gonna have to like organize this, but it looks like Whew. Okay, so Allison Clay got one. Mark Cuban. Going to be a little confusing. So maybe they, let's just say they get one of the answers right, because let's simplify this. So Allison Clay got Mark Cuban, so she's going, and that's with Sean.
Social nature.
Right?
Yep.
That's going to be the social nature prize. So Allison, you got the social nature prize. The second person was Namik Sultan.
Oh no, it's Jason Raymond Werner.
Oh, okay. I'm seeing it wrong here.
I'm going to the tail of the tape here. So we've got Allison was first, Jason was second, and Namik was third.
Okay, so you're going to win. Just make sure to email cpgvibes100@gmail.com, and you can claim your prizes. Allison gets a social nature prize. Jason will get the Rebel Cheese prize, and Namik with Machiko, right? No, with Ginger Labs, will get the Bon B prize. And if you want to get the bonus not bullshit prize with Sean, who are the two sharks that were arguing with each other. We're going to give it 30 seconds, Wade, because I know we're over time here. So if anyone gets that in the next 30 seconds, you will win Sean's prize here. Going to do the Jeopardy music, but we're not allowed to play that because it has a copyright infringement. We'll have a ABC attorney reaching out. All right.
Jason's excited here because he's vegan. So I think Kirsten
Perfect.
had some issues here. But that's great. Wow. That's awesome.
All right. Damon and Lori. Is that right, Sean?
No.
Give another 15 seconds. Who are the two sharks that were arguing on the Dude Wipes episode? And you win a Dude Wipe super bonus, whatever you're going to offer. We don't know yet. We'll find out. We only find out if someone wins, right? Mr. Wonderful and Mark?
That's right.
Close. They got half. Mark got the deal, so.
Mr. Wonderful and someone else. We want someone to win this thing.
Well, you know half the answer, so you only have to get the other half, right?
Does that mean they can only wipe half their butt cheek with your prize? Or too many jokes about Dude Wipes. All right. So 5 more seconds. 4, 3. Arguing. Oh, Larry has to be one of them. 2. Who is the other shark? There's 2 of them. 1. Half. 1/4.
Half a prize.
Lori, Mr. Wonderful. Is that it?
Mr. Wonderful and Herjavec. That was our two. Two guys who were arguing, and then Mark wiped them out and took the deal. So.
Nice.
Good effort. No one got it. No Dude Wipe super prize, but
all right. So we're gonna adjourn, at least having all the shark alums. You're gonna hop off. So we'll pull you off the episode, and we're gonna finish off with some comments here. But everyone here, Kendra, Michael, Sean, Jake, Paul, Ashley, thank you so much for sponsoring with Social Nature, and Kirsten. And I don't think I'm missing anyone here. Someone I know had to hop off. Thank you all for being on our show on this inaugural episode of Outside the Tank, and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Okay, just make sure I'm not going to remove the wrong person. There we go. Okay, we're back to just us two. All right, so let's just talk about some other laundry list items real quick, and then we will adjourn for today. Make sure to again another round of applause for our Shark Tank alumni and also our sponsors. I mean, we can't do the show. We sound a lot better, right, than previous weeks. It's because of sponsors. The mics, the stands, the headphones. We just want to increase the quality of the show, and we rely on sponsorships to do that. Plus, also help the community. So that's all going into that pot. So our ongoing sponsors are V-Driven and Range Me, rangeme.com/CPG-Vibes. And then V-Driven, you can literally just go to vdriven.com and you can schedule a call with them, or just go to Luke, message Luke Abbott on at V-Driven. Our Slack channel, cpgvibes.slack.com. And also, if you'd like to sponsor our show, cpgvibes100@gmail.com. We're booked for the next 3 to 4 months, but there might be, who knows, someone might move it to later. Make sure to email us, because we're now easily, getting over 100 people on live at one time, and thousands that are listening on Apple Podcasts. So
well, and
cool
we
to
did one thing we didn't put up here, but for those of you listening, still watching, we also have a Venmo. It's CPG Vibes. If you're interested in,
We do.
And that was created for a number of reasons, primarily for our sponsors, but also we have had some inquiries from some of our regular viewers and listeners about how they can help the show, not being a full-blown sponsor, but can they send something? So you simply can, Alex put the link up there. You can Google Venmo, search CPG Vibes. You'll see, I don't know, Alex, is it your face on there? I don't know what's on there, but
I have no idea. I think it's us
exactly. But just FYI, it's that's out there too for those of you that have asked. That's available as well. Joseph, real quick, because I know I'm really tight on time because I got to pick my wife up from work. Joseph is asking where you can find the replay. So Joseph, it'll probably be up Alex Monday on Apple Podcasts. You can go right here to this link where you're watching now and just refresh the page at the end after we sign off, and you'll be able to watch this all back. It'll be up audio on Apple Podcasts on Monday, and I will be uploading it to YouTube as well, probably pretty quickly this weekend. So YouTube search CPG Vibes. You can see the last 10 episodes there. This one will be up this weekend. I think we covered all the bases.
I think you nailed it. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend, and we will catch you next week. And next week's episode is just going to be, we're going to be hanging out. And also our sponsor next week is Robert. It's Robert Kogan with PFE. So Powerful Energy, and he basically is sponsoring a block of episodes. So thank you, Robert. He is the king of Canada, we're calling this guy. And I just talked to him literally last night. He's like now I regard him as a friend. I didn't really know him too well, but he's an amazing guy.
Well, and the thing is for those of you still here or listening after the fact, if you're interested in the Canada markets, especially in the Toronto area, which Robert will tell us time and time again is the third largest market in North America, you can tune in next week, learn more about that, ask Robert some questions. I think it's beneficial to many that are looking to expand in that market. So we're happy to have Robert on board as a sponsor and look forward to what he can contribute to the community.
Absolutely. All right. Well, everyone, take good care. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll catch you next week on CPG Vibes.